All right. Hey, my name is Sifu Chang, and I turn children into successful adults. Welcome to Wushu Central Success Stories. Tonight, I am excited to introduce Maya Modak, one of Wushu Central's success stories. Now, before we start that, please let me know where you are tuning in from. Well, let me tell you a little bit about Maya. Maya is a second degree Wushu Central black belt, and she was one of our instructors. She graduated from UC Santa Cruz and was immediately snatched up as a medical researcher at UCSF studying cancer and COVID-19. She's an absolutely amazing individual. So I'm really excited to introduce you to her. I'm going to bring her right on the screen. Hello, Maya. Thank you so much for being with us today. Can you tell everybody what is it that you're doing and studying at UCSF?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm so glad to be here, Sifu. Thank you for inviting me. So, I work at UCSF and I'm part of the Krogan Lab, which studies a large plethora of diseases ranging from cancer and SARS-CoV-2. So, with SARS-CoV-2 and cancer, a lot of things that we're trying to look at is finding targeted therapeutics specifically. Because especially with cancer, there's not a one drug that treats all. It varies from each cancer, and so we're really trying to find an in-depth way studying protein-protein interactions to see how we can disrupt those interactions with drug intervention.
That's amazing. Wow, such important work. So let's go back to the beginning a little bit and let's talk about you starting Wushu. Why did you first start attending classes at Wushu Central Martial Arts?
Yeah, so I started Wushu when I was in elementary school. And at that point, my parents had tried every single hobby to try to put me into every single hobby. So we tried violin, we tried soccer, we tried everything. And I was just not interested. But the one thing I was really interested in was martial arts movies. I loved watching martial arts movies. And so that it's like, okay, well, we go to the Costco in San Jose, and right across from there was the Wushu Central back when it was on Coleman, and right across from the Costco. And so we checked it out, and it was instant success. It was something that I was really passionate about, and I felt like I was in those martial arts movies.
That's awesome. Now you have a really unique experience in that you actually took classes alongside your father. So like, what was that like?
At first, when he told me he was going to do it, I thought he was joking. And then it very rapidly devolved into a competition. So it was who can get more stripes, who can get the next belt the fastest. But I think above all, it really made me respect him a lot more as a parent and as a person. And I think in a lot of ways, because he was essentially practicing what he preached. When we were in Wushu, we were both equals, which is not a very common dynamic in a parent-child relationship. And so when I was struggling, most likely he was also struggling too. And so especially during our black belt tests, it was always me and him just kind of connecting and just pushing each other, which I thought was a very unique experience. And I learned a lot from him. And I think in that process, he also learned a lot from me. So, yeah.
Wow. And how special to be able to take a black belt test with your father together,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that
Yeah.
is so cool. And so you and your father trained with us for I think probably about 5 years before you got your first black belt, and then probably you were with us for about 7 years. You got your second degree black belt. So what was it like to finally reach that goal to get your black belt, especially doing it alongside your dad?
It was unreal. I mean, from a kid, everyone wants from Wushu kids, everyone wants that goal, but it's very different to actually attain it and go through the rigorous classes and practicing that we had to go through to attain it. And so when I first got it, it felt like a huge a goal achieved, but then to then realize, okay, we have to keep going. Like this isn't the first black belt. That's not the end all be all. Like there's more black belts to come. And so this, I think, actually timed really well because I got my second black belt right as I was graduating high school. So it felt like a very poetic way to kind of wrap up that phase in my life, and to finish it alongside with my dad again was just, it was a really great experience, and I treasure that deeply.
That is so amazing. For those of you just signing on, this is Maya Modak. She is a medical researcher at UCSF. And if you have any questions, just drop them in the comments and we'll be happy to answer them throughout this discussion. So Maya, going through that journey to black belt, what do you feel are like the most significant character traits that you gained from it?
Oh, the big one would be perseverance, I think. I think especially when we have our flexibility classes, wow, perseverance really comes into play.
That was always one of your favorite classes, wasn't it?
Oh, we would walk in through the doors and then we'd see the previous class before us and we're like, oh my God, it's flexibility day. Oh no.
Yeah.
And then we could mentally prepare ourselves. But I mean, I think that, and also just practicing in classes over and over again, just trying to get those landings, trying to get the stance. I mean, it's almost maddening, but it's also really crucial to improving yourself, which I don't think was something I would have learned outside of it, just having to constantly repeat and constantly want to push myself to get better and improve it, even in just the small details.
Mhm.
So I think perseverance is really a big one because, I mean, it also affects things like studying and establishing like life goals and ambition, because then, it's not always, you're not going to hit that landing the first try. You're going to have to constantly try again and again and again. And Wushu really built that perseverance in me and that understanding of what it takes to achieve my goals. So that was a huge skill set that I don't think I would have learned otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of the key skills that anybody who sticks with this for 4 or 5 years to earn their black belt, and not only it's not an easy 4 or 5 years, right? I mean, it is hard work and there is sweat and pain, sometimes bleeding a little blood, depending on how careful you are with your sword, right? Yeah, there's definitely something to be said of somebody who can get that black belt. It says something about their character. So after you earned your black belt, you started teaching here. So what drove that decision for you to become an instructor?
So actually when I was a kid, when I first started doing Wushu, my grandparents would come from India and stay with us for a little bit. And I remember Saturday mornings, I would always wake them up. And one of the first things we'd do is I would teach them Wushu. So I would teach them how to do horse stance, how to do their blocks and punches. They were like 60, 70-year-old grandparents, and they would do it. They would do the horse stance and they would hold it for as long as I asked them to. And so I think I kind of wanted to coach for a really long time. And I think what affected it was going through Wushu as a kid and seeing how wonderful coaches were and how much they affected the lives of me and other students and their lives in Wushu and outside of it, and just really shaping them to become better people and ingraining those really crucial skill sets. And I kind of wanted to have that effect. I think in one way or another, I enjoyed teaching in that interaction with people. So coaching at Wushu seemed the perfect way to do that. And I really enjoyed it. I had never worked with kids before. I remember the first few months, I would always get sick all the time because my immune system wasn't used to working with kids. But it was amazing. I learned so much from them. I love how creative kids are, and especially in Wushu, because you're teaching them physical strengths, but you're also teaching them a lot of mental strengths. Like we have all those different skills of the day that we're teaching them. And so I think those were really fun parts of it that I didn't intend to enjoy when I went into it, but fully loved by the end of it.
Yeah, that is so awesome. Very good. Our good friend Shavia gives you a shout out, says hi to you.
Hi, Shavia.
Cool. So, you stayed with us until you went to UC Santa Cruz, and then you got your job as a medical researcher at UCSF. So, I mean, this is obviously, this is the dream for a lot of people, right? Especially people wanting to go into the sciences, to go to a great college. And then, I mean, you immediately, literally the day you graduated, you had a job offer to go work at UCSF, which is incredible. So what advice would you give to people wanting to get into a medical or health related field?
So I think if you're in high school, I would say doing science fairs is a really great gateway for me to help introduce me to what research really feels like and see what the community looks like when you actually go to the science fairs and kind of see what everyone else is doing. I think that's always a really great environment to learn, and that kind of is the foundation for all the scientific community. So in high school, definitely go to science fairs if you can, really enjoy your science classes. In college, it definitely gets a little complicated because you're suddenly thrown into class sizes that are massive, and you might feel like you're lost in the crowd in that sense when you're sitting in those lecture halls. But professors are always there to help. And so my big advice would be always reach out to your professors, especially if it comes to things like topics you really don't feel like you have a good grasp on. They have office hours and they're always willing to help. So reach out to professors, reach out to PhD students, because they're there as sort resources for you. And so definitely tap into that. And those connections will eventually help you get an undergrad research position, which is something that I had. I was lucky to have in undergrad, I studied Vibrio cholera. And as an undergrad, I didn't really know I wanted to do research, but I wasn't entirely sure how to do that. And so getting that research position really helped set me up for what a career in biomedical research really looks like, and gave me a lot of connections that helped establish mentorship and so a lot of postdocs and grad students were kind of mentoring me and showing me, like, if you want to do this in your career, this is what you should do, and this is what you should look out for, and these are some good things and bad things with the job. So definitely that exposure is really priceless, and it eventually helps you if you want to go to graduate school or apply for jobs in the field. Getting those letter of recommendations from your professors and from your lab mates, if you ever get that research position, those are very, very crucial. That will help set you apart from all the other applicants.
You said something I think is really valuable too, and that's going to and getting in contact with your professors and with the upper grads is not just something you do because you have trouble in a class or understanding a concept, but it's also to create that network, right?
Yes.
And to make sure that these people know who you are, because obviously if you never go to their office, they will never know who you are amongst the several hundred people sitting in their lecture hall, right?
Yeah.
How would they even know who you are, right?
Exactly.
So
yeah,
creating that introduction sounds like was a huge factor in your success.
Yes, definitely. And I mean, professors also really enjoy to talk. Like, professors love, I mean, they're teaching because they love teaching students. They love that interaction. So they don't like just being in their office by themselves and then suddenly on a podium in front of hundreds of kids by themselves. Like, they want that interaction. They're humans like us. Yeah. It may not seem like it from a distance, but they really do enjoy that. So when you take time to kind of cultivate that relationship and that networking, like, they see that motivation and they see that positive attitude that you're bringing, and they do really appreciate it. So it is like a two-way street. You want to treat it as such.
Right. So kids watching, I want you guys just to really understand this idea here, because as someone who teaches as well too, I would tell you we set aside like specific office hours, and one of the worst things for a professor is when they set aside an hour for office hours and they're sitting there and nobody shows up. They're like, this really sucks. Nobody likes me, right? So it actually makes them feel really good when you show up to them. And even if you don't have a question, you can just go up and just say, hey, I just wanted to say hi, and we can just chat about physics or whatever it is that they're teaching. They love to just talk about stuff, and you'll have a great time with it. And they'll be so grateful that you just showed up and you're there, because otherwise they're just like, twiddling their thumbs, waiting for somebody to show interest in them.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
So if you were like, imagine you go back in time and like you change the past and you never end up going to Wushu Central and you never gained those character traits, like where would you end up? Where would you be today?
I don't know if I would be where I am right now. I'm not just saying that for the sake of saying it. I mean, I think, like I touched on before, perseverance is a huge skill set that I walked away with from Wushu. And so that helped me establish my life goals and kind of come up with what I need to do to attain my ideal goals. And so, I mean, and a lot of it was also just learning how to deal with failures and dealing with coming up short on some things, like the road to whatever goal you've set is not a smooth road. You do have road bumps, you do have obstacles that show up. And I mean, just like in Wushu, you're learning your form and you stress out that you're not memorizing it completely, and that could be a roadblock for you, but that perseverance is what really gets you through it and gives you that focus and that drive. And so I think if I hadn't learned that, I wouldn't fully understand like what I need to give to establish my goals, and for I applied for so many jobs, but I didn't get so many, and that's okay. I just got to keep going, and I got to keep improving myself. Because I think it's really easy to try something and then fall short and then go, okay, I tried, that's it. And it's so easy to just kind of fall into that pit hole and just stay there and not try to do anything about it. But I think that one of the really great things that I learned from Wushu is just you get back, you fall, you get right back up, and then you try it again,
Mhm.
You do your jump outside kick, you don't hit it into the perfect stance, you fall, that's okay. You just get back up and try it again. And so that's a really valuable skill set in life, you know? It's not always going to be smooth, so you just got to keep going that. And we all learned that with the pandemic too, you know? We got a lot of obstacles from that, but we just got to get up and keep going.
For
And
sure.
learn.
That's very much a fixed versus growth mindset, right?
Yeah.
You know, and knowing that every time you fail, it's an
Mm.
opportunity for you to learn and to get better for the next time you do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Xavi has a question. He says, do you think being an instructor at Wushu helped shape the way you look at teachers and professors?
That's a really great question. Yeah, I do, because I think I got to peek behind the curtain a little bit and just kind of fully understand that they're not these mythical creatures that don't need human interaction and, you know, are fine to be on their own. Like, yeah, they do value connection and talking and even asking questions. I think that, like, people always worry like, oh, I don't want to ask a dumb question, but there, you know, there really isn't such thing as a dumb question. And so I think that just like understanding that it's okay to ask whatever I want to ask if that helps me, and I know I'm confident in that the other person will understand what I'm trying to get at and understand what I'm asking and not judge me because of that. So yeah.
So true. It's so true that there are no dumb questions. And you realize this when you're a teacher, because you think back, you're like, I don't think I've ever felt that some kid asked me a dumb question, right? You know, it's always kind of like, you know, at the worst, it's like, oh, that was a cute question.
Yeah. That's adorable. Yeah.
Yeah, that is so awesome.
Yeah.
Well, super cool. Well, everybody, I hope you really enjoyed this interview we had today with Maya. If you like this, please like and share this show with everybody. And I want to thank Maya for coming on today and sharing her experience and her wisdom. And we wish you continued success in your career for the future. Thanks again, Maya, for being here with us today.
Thank you so much. And quick plug, if anyone out here who's listening is interested in biomedical research or in the medical field, please feel free to add me on LinkedIn. I'm trying to post as many outreach opportunities that I see. So, you know, you might see internship options and maybe hopefully some helpful tidbits to help you get on your path for medical research and biology in general. So feel free to add me on LinkedIn. It's just Maya Modak.
Okay, that's awesome. Good. And we'll post a link to that on the comments as well, too, to make it
Perfect.
easy.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. All right. Thank you, Maya. And thank you all of you watching. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of the weekend. Take care.
Bye.